Hello and welcome to another live stream. I don't know what number this is. We've done hundreds probably at this point, and we're still going. I love it. When I first started doing this, I wasn't sure how many windsurfing questions there would be, but there seems to be an endless number, which is great, and I'm loving this just as much as the first day. In fact, I probably like it even more now. There's something about this coaching that's just really, really satisfying. I'm not at home, as you can see from the background. I'm in Berlin, visiting a friend, and with a friend as well. And yeah, so I'm here. I'm not windsurfing this week. I think there were some good conditions up in Denmark, but I'm here in Berlin instead. If you're in Berlin, I'm pretty busy before I go back to Hamburg, so I probably can't meet up, but say hi, give me some recommendations of things to do. Did you sail this week, though? That's the question. Dom, Jorg, Sammy, welcome, welcome. Hans, nice. Hans is saying that he had a great session in Domburg. No footage, but had some high fives. Nice. Yeah, Facebook. I know it's annoying. You've probably given StreamYard permission, but I still can't see who you are. I think you have to do it every time. That's annoying. Sorry about that. But sounds like you had some fun sessions. Like small wave sessions are fun, and they can be great. Actually, those small. Oh, it's Ragnar. Yeah, I just loaded the Facebook. Ragnar's a local, a regular, a ripper charger. And one thing I love, Ragnar, about your sailing is that you just get out there. You're not snobby about the conditions. You can be on a 5/8 with small waves or stormy surf, whatever it is. You're out there. You're filming yourself, and you're keen to improve, which I find inspiring. That helps me keep going too. So thank you. This is definitely like this two-way thing, right? I get inspiration from you guys, and hopefully I'm inspiring, or if not inspiring, at least teaching something. Hey, Edwin from the Netherlands. No sailing, but beautiful weather. That's good. Caro, nice to see you. You're in Cabezo. I'm looking forward to seeing you in September in Denmark. Caro is joining us for the Windsurfing Masterclass in Denmark, which I think they're all full. I'm still waiting on, I think, one payment, but otherwise the courses are all full. So sorry if you wanted to sign up, it's too late. But Carl, I'm very much looking forward to see you. And a lot of these guys actually in the chat, I'm going to see Edwin, Ragnar, Hans, Jorg. They're all going to be there. I'm looking forward to it. Jeff, I saw in the Facebook group, again, I go through the Facebook group, I read every post, and sometimes I comment, I try to comment, but sometimes I can't comment. If other people are giving good comments, then I won't. But anyway, I go through, I read everything that's posted. Jeff, it looks like you hurt yourself. It looks like you chipped your bone. Ouch. I'm sorry to see that. Hey, John. Yeah, the wind increased when you had to leave. Matt is joining us as well. He's going to come up to Denmark. Hey, Alex. Yeah, great. We've got a good crew here. Hey, soon also is going to be on the masterclass. We've got a good crew. We've got like the masterclass group in the chat this week. That's good to see. That's going to be a good time. I should let you guys know. I'm going to be sending out the pre-course. All the videos should be finished tonight. So my plan is to send them out tonight, but it might be tomorrow morning. So check your inboxes for the pre-course material tonight/tomorrow morning. It'll be sent out. I'm really looking forward to it. Caro is a veteran of the master classes. This is going to be her fourth one, I think. And every time I try to one up the one before, adding more content, more lessons, doing more stuff. And so I'm excited about these two in Denmark. I'm planning them. Yeah. So anyway, I'm excited. That's enough about that. One more housekeeping thing. If you want to support the live stream and the Facebook group, there's a Patreon, which you can find. I think the link is in this description somewhere. If you're watching this either on YouTube or on Facebook, it's just Patreon/Graham Ezzy. And there's also options there for a newsletter, which I'm working on the first one. We've already had a bunch of people sign up. Thank you for signing up. And I'm also working hard to make that really valuable. Like, I want you to get that every month. The plan is to do it once a month. If it's too long and you want it broken up, we can talk about doing shorter ones as well. That's no problem for me. But the plan is to really provide a lot of value every month. It's like kind of like my own little magazine that comes out every month about coaching and windsurfing. And you'll see once the first one comes out. I'm working on the first one. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. And then, of course, this is a two-way street. So if you guys have feedback for me, give it to me, and I'll let you know. And then there's the highest tier on Patreon is the Accelerator Club. You can check it out there. I want to get into the coaching tonight, so I'm going to load up the Facebook group. Hello, Calgary. Nice to see you joining us on the live stream. That is, I got to go in the Facebook group and see who that is. Who's that on the Facebook group? I can't see it. I don't know. And Eric in Oslo. Nice. All right, so I'm going to load up the Facebook group, and we're just going to get into it. There we are. All right. So, time to get into the coaching. Okay, so we have a question from an anonymous member. So you can post anonymously. There's a way to do that when you do your post. I haven't done it myself yet, but so if you want to ask a question and you want it to be anonymous, there's a way that you can do that, which this person has done. And their question is, do you have any suggestions for a person struggling to get up on a plane on one of the newer, shorter length boards? I have two newer 106 and 86 Taboo 3Ss. I find that I can't always get them up on a plane. My previous 3Ss were 15 and 10 centimeters longer. That's a big difference. I mean, you'll feel even 2 centimeters difference in the outline. I don't know if that may be why I struggle, or maybe 2 centimeters you don't feel, but 5 you definitely will. 2 inches you'll feel. Any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated. So we've already got some comments. Edwin asks if he's new to multi-fin boards, because that can make a difference for sure. Jorgen is saying, I'm no expert, but if the wind drops, I put the boom up an inch. Makes a big difference. Sometimes after a jump, it goes down just a little and I didn't notice. Yeah, great. This is a good tip from Jorgen. So anonymous user, I would say try a higher boom. One of the things that can be difficult with the shorter boards is your weight distribution. So a lot of times with the shorter boards, the foot straps are farther back because the tails are wider. And it might be that then you're putting too much pressure on the back and sort of sinking the tail and pushing water. So I might try putting the mast track a little bit farther forward, and maybe even moving your foot straps farther forward, and think that because the board has a just different outline, you might want to have a different foot strap and mast track placement than you would on your old 3Ss. My first thought would be to move more forward, and the second thought would be to look at your fins. You want to make sure that the fins are helping you get planing, because it can be that the outline is what's making it different for you, but it might also be that the fins that the boards come with are different, and maybe it's a little bit smaller or a little bit different shape that doesn't get planing as easily, and that can make a huge difference. So I'd maybe put in the old fins or find a fin that's a little bit bigger. The other thing that is true is that these boards, so one thing about fin area, I see a lot of people talking about fin area, a lot of kind of calculations about how to choose your fin area based on your sail size and whatnot. And there might be some value in that. But one thing I don't see talked about enough is that the fin area for multi-fin boards, or for any board, but we're mainly talking about multi-fin boards here, is dependent on the width of the tail of the board. And the more narrow The more narrow that tail is, the less fin area you need. The wider that tail, the more fin area. So on these like stubby boards with tails that are this like super wide, you need more fin area. You need a lot more fin area than you would on the other board. And I'm not sure what the brands are putting in the boards for fins. And maybe they're putting in the same fins as what they were putting on the boards before. And you're looking at it, you're thinking, yeah, it's the same fin. It should work. It works on the other board. But that's not necessarily the case. It's not the case because if the board is a lot wider in the tail, you're going to need more area in the fin. And how do you navigate that? One way is like to go up on the side fin. So maybe you had 10s on the side and you want to go up to 12s. I think for early planing, in my personal experience, and I want to hear other people's experience, like maybe you have a different experience. And if so, share it in the chat, share it in the Facebook group, because your experience is very valuable. It's the collective of all of our experiences that can really help someone like this anonymous member dial in their board. But my experience is that if you want to get planing earlier, the center fin, because I think these boards are thrusters, the center fin is what matters most. So put some more depth, some more area in that center fin, and that should help you. And you can also increase the area and the depths of the side fins as well. Like I remember I had a stubby board. This was a few years ago, and at that time I was riding 10s and 17. And for that kind of that board, like wide tail kind of parallel outline, I put in like I think 12s and an 18, which is a big increase in area actually in the fins. So the fin area is one that's maybe overlooked and is critical. So that's something to consider. Jorgen's point about raising your boom also very good. So then Keoki is saying that the shorter boards are more demanding. There's no quick fix. Practice is helpful. That's true too. So all of these I think are useful. So let us know how it goes. All right, next up, we have the first post ever in the group from Marco. Marco, welcome to the group. Thank you for posting. I love seeing people post for the first time. I love seeing the journeys as well. Like, we've got a lot of people in the chat who we've been following their journey over the last 2 years with the Facebook group. Hans, I don't know if Dennis is in the chat. I haven't seen him yet, but his journey is really cool. I love seeing these journeys, Hans, Caro, Dennis. We've seen a lot of journeys over the last 2 years, Dom, Edwin, but also I love seeing these first-time posts. So maybe you're used to watching the stream and you haven't posted, and maybe you're shy to post. Then you can post anonymously. So this is a great example from this group member. They use the anonymous function, so you can post anonymously. So if you're shy to post something, you can post anonymously. Now, I do see who it is. So I see, but it's anonymous for everyone else in the group. But just so that's clear. So if you want to post something that I can't see who you are, I don't know how you do that. Maybe there is a way. I don't know. But anyway, so if you haven't posted in the group because you're shy, use that anonymous function. I think is a pretty cool function. All right, so let's watch this wave ride. Marco, are you in the chat? Are you with us? This looks like Tenerife. This looks like the harbor wall in Tenerife. Looks like the harbor wall. Marco, let us know if it is. Can you guys see this? Do I need to make this bigger? Let me make this bigger. Okay. The stuff that pops up, these Facebook recommendations are so weird. Like, what are these videos? It's so weird. It's like, you'd think that their algorithm would make things that are more relevant to me. Anyway, Marco, sorry, I'm getting distracted from these weird Facebook suggestions. So I think that this is, hey, Konstantinos, hello, Greece. I think that this is the harbor wall. This looks like the harbor wall in Tenerife. It could be somewhere else. It could be somewhere else in the Canaries. It looks like the Canaries. It's very dry. Let us know where it is. It might not be. I could see it also not being the harbor wall because, yeah, on second thought, I mean, I can't see very much of the background. But maybe it's not actually the harbor wall. I guess it's not. Actually, it's not. No, I would say it's probably not. Anyway, Marco, let us know where this is. I don't know what the situation is like here in terms of how close to the rocks you feel, but the main thing that I would say that you need to do is be deeper on the wave. So the fundamentals of wave riding are everything. And it sounds so simple, but it's not, because it takes a lot of focus, attention, and years of practice to really learn them. But the first step is just an awareness of how important the fundamentals are, and then an intention to improve them. And once you have that intention on the water, that's when they start to improve. And the fundamentals are wave selection, placement, and timing. So wave selection is what wave you're on. Placement is where you are on that wave. And timing is when you are on that wave, like when you're riding it where you are. And what I see here, so Hans is saying that this looks like Fuerteventura. I could agree with that. I've never sailed there, but I've only been to Sotavento in Fuerteventura, where they do the event. But anyway, so what I want to show you though is, I think there's a lot in the technique that looks good. But I think what would help you improve is going later, because where you're turning, there's not very much power coming back at you from the wave. And having that power, that steepness from the wave, and then that energy is transferring, that power, that energy is transferring into board speed. That's what makes it feel easy. That's what makes it feel effortless. That's what makes it feel fun. And that's what looks so dynamic. And I'm not saying that you should be hitting the lip, right? I know that's another step. But if you're riding just a couple meters deeper, it's going to be a lot easier to do these turns, because the wave is steeper. There's some more pressure, more force coming against you. And especially this second turn. So this first turn is a little bit steeper. And then the second turn, we're kind of racing ahead of the section. You can see that the wave is kind of flat here. It starts kind of being on the shoulder, and we're very far away from the whitewater. And so I don't know what the bottom is like, right? I don't know if you're at this whitewater, if it's going to be too shallow and too gnarly there. So Hans, sounds like you've sailed this spot. What do you think? Like if you're riding back here, is that too gnarly? Because normally I would say you want to be right here in the pocket next to where the whitewater is, if you can see where my mouse is. And so being out here on the shoulder, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder because the wave isn't as steep. And so there, like, that was a good job to fade. God, these weird videos that pop up. Let's watch this again. So the other thing, going back to the fundamentals, is wave selection. Now it looks like, just I'm looking at the color of the water. So there's so many things to look at when you're trying to figure out wave selection and timing and placement. And the color of the water is very important. And so I can see here with all this white water that there was a wave breaking outside of this before. And so that might mean that a really big set just came through, or it might mean that this is not a wave that you want to get, because it's one of the much smaller waves of that day. And if you don't want to ride, like if you're scared of the bigger waves on a day, I recommend riding the medium waves. And the way to make it not scary is to be more on the shoulder. And so I know I just said you want to stay off the shoulder, but it's actually safer to be riding those medium waves a lot of times in a lot of spots than these small waves that are kind of whitewatery in between sets. Like, I don't know how this spot is, but in a lot of spots around the world, Hokipa is like this. you don't want to ride the small waves on a big day. That's the most dangerous thing you can do, because then when you're going back out to sea, that's when the sets are coming. And if it's scary to be riding a big wave, it's a lot scarier to have a big wave breaking on top of you as you're trying to get back out, right? And so, okay, maybe you don't want to ride those big sets, but you can find the medium sets, but not the tiny ones that are coming in between the sets. And so you're still kind of in a rhythm, and just then stay away. Especially this is a nice peeling wave. This is a nice wave. You can be as much on the shoulder as you feel comfortable. But so just to recap, so the two main things are the wave selection. So I would say you probably want one of the waves that is a cleaner wave, so more blue water, less of this aerated water, which would probably mean it has a little bit more size. So not a whitewater wave. In general, you want to avoid whitewater waves for the reason I just said. It means it's one of the smaller waves of the day. You can get stuck inside. You can get waves break on you. Two, they're harder to read. They're just harder to read. The way the light refracts and reflects off of them, they're just harder to read. So it's harder to get the right timing and the right placement. And three, because they're aerated, they can be bumpy. The fins can go loose. They're just harder to turn in. So you want to avoid waves that are whitewater waves, right? You want something that's more of a deep blue wave. And so that's the first thing, is the selection. Second thing is the placement. You want to be as close to that power source as you're comfortable. Okay. So those are the two fundamental, the two sort of fundamental things with the to be aware of, Marco. The next thing that I want to say is to really take your time between turns. So the other thing that I see here, and this is such a common thing, this is common in every level, from people who are just learning how to wave sail all the way up to the pros. I see this happening in World Cups. So Marco, you are in very good company here. Very good company. I see World Cup guys making the same mistake, which is anticipating your next turn while you're still in a turn. And so you can see that with your head, is you coming up to this turn, and in this cutback, you're already thinking about the next cutback rather than staying in that turn. And that's one reason why you get so far ahead of the wave, is because you're thinking about that next turn. And here you kind of calm down a bit and fade, but then still end up quite a bit on the shoulder. And so what does that mean? So like if we watch this again, we can see that your head, right? You're looking. It's good that you're looking. But then here you're looking way down the line. So this, you're not looking where you're going to do the cutback, which is where I want you to be looking. I want you to be looking where you're going to be cutback. You're looking way down the line of the wave. So like I'd rather have you looking like up the clue of your sail where you're going to do your cutback, and so doing more of a U-shaped turn rather than looking so far down the line and anticipating the next turn and doing more of a straight line turn. But like I said, you're in very good company, Marco. I saw this happening in the Cabo Verde World Cup with the pro fleet, the best windsurfers in the world. So this is something that everyone does. And the way to get out of it is to just really focus on what you're doing. And so if you're holding that rail on the cutback, you're not thinking about your next turn. You're just in that moment. And it's a really good meditation. It can really help you get a lot of pleasure of being in the moment. And it's not necessarily easy. It can be difficult to do, right? It's hard to be in the moment, but just staying in that turn and not anticipating the next one. So Marco, we've said really a lot about what to do. So let me just recap quite quickly. One is avoid whitewater waves. Focus on getting the medium or bigger waves of the day. Two, stay closer to the power source of the wave. Stay as much in the pocket, as close to the breaking part of the wave as you're comfortable. I'm not asking you to hit the lip, but staying close to that area, it's going to be steeper. It's going to be transferring more power to your board. And then three is don't anticipate your next turn in the middle of your turn. And four is I want you to think about doing a U-shaped bottom turn. And so don't look straight down the line. You want to be looking back up at the wave. So like if you're bottom turning, we're not looking around the front of the mast just down the wave. We're looking up at the wave where we're going to go, trying to do that U-shaped bottom turn. Look back up at the wave. So your head is not like this. Your head is looking back up the wave. So those are 4 big points that I think will make a big difference, Marco. Now, there's a lot we can talk about in terms of technique, like some people are talking about knees and whatever else, but all of that comes second. All of that comes second to these fundamentals. So the wave selection and the placement are so huge. It's more important than anything, really. Like you can have that and not have the technique and you'll look good. You can have the technique and not be on the right wave or not in the right place or not at the right timing, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, even with all the technique in the world. There's a video that I have on YouTube, which you can find. Maybe someone can link it here in the comments. And it's my friend Paul filmed it, and it's a set at Hokipa. And it's like 3 of the all-time best riders in the world. I think it's Levi Seibert, Marcelio Brown, and Kevin Pritchard. And there's a very good rider on the 4th wave, but I'm sure most of you guys haven't heard of him. Super cool guy, nice guy from Tarifa. He's been spending time on Maui, but you probably haven't heard of him. And in that exchange, he has the best timing and placement. And the other guys, these legends of the sport, for whatever reason, mess up the wave selection, mess up the timing, mess up the placement. And you can see that, like, and no disrespect to the 4th guy, but, those 3 guys have a lot more technique than he does and a lot more experience, but they mess up the timing or the placement, and he gets the best wave of those 4 waves. And so it's really interesting to see that matters so much more than technique, is those fundamental skills: wave selection, timing, and placement. And then the other thing to take away from that video is that it's hard. Even some of the best guys in the world, best guys of all time, don't get it right sometimes. So you're not trying to get it right every time. You're trying to get it right more of the time. And it starts with intention. Jeff, buddy, ouch. This hurts to see. I'm sorry you had this accident. Oh, I hope you have a good recovery. All right, Sel is asking, can anyone suggest an online fitness coach who specializes in windsurfing fitness? So we've got a lot of making athletic demands of a recreational body is crippling me. I love that line. That's a really good line. This is a great line. I love this. Nice. I mean, I'm sorry that it's crippling you, but I like the words. So PP Jutras, oh, he did comment. So I wanted him to comment. So he does coaching. He does coaching for windsurfers. He's a trainer. This is his website, ppjutras.com. This is the English version. And Dennis, who is somewhere here, I tagged him. He didn't respond yet, though. I don't know if you're in the stream, Dennis. You can let us know. Has been working with PP, and told me he's really happy with it. Otherwise, I know some people from the group, like Marine, have been working with Sarah Hauser. She's also a professional windsurfer as well as a trainer. I know a lot of pro windsurfers that work with Sarah as well. And I haven't ever worked with her personally, but as a person, I love her. She's great. Super nice woman, incredibly smart, very good windsurfer. I can't say enough positive things about Sarah Hauser. So definitely recommend Sarah Hauser. PP seems like also a great choice. Tom also is doing training. Sounds like there's a lot of good options. So Sel, I would say one of these options seems like, and Cedric's also the man. Yeah, Cedric has a ton of experience with training. So Sel, you've got a lot of options here between PP, Sarah, Cedric, whatever. So let us know what you choose and how it goes, because what's so valuable in this group is people sharing their experiences. And so I want to hear what you choose, how it was. Was it better for you? Let us all know. Facebook user saying that he had a little slog and a ride at the sheep ranch on the south central Oregon coast. I'm going to guess that this is Jeff based on the comment. Hey, Jeff. Fairly shut down with the heat inland. Looks promising for the weekend. Respect and gratitude. Maybe it's not Jeff. Maybe it is Jeff. Not Jeff. Not that you wouldn't have respect and gratitude. But maybe it's Dana. Maybe it's Jeff. Oh, it's Dana. Hey, Dana. I love that you're tuning in. Dana is a name that I hope some of the old school windsurfers remember. Dana gave me some advice for sail when I was a kid. I don't know how old I was. I was like 11, and Dana gave me some advice for learning about sail dynamics. He was saying, yeah, go out when the wind is light. Dana, I wonder if you remember this. Tell me if you remember this. So Dana said, go on a big board and a small sail and just work on ducking the sail, flipping the sail, doing heli tacks. Do you remember telling me this? I must have been like 11 or 12. And that really stuck with me, and I did it. And it really made a difference. And it's something that I tell people to do now, which is if you want to improve, and why would you not, improve your sail handling skills, take advantage of those lighter wind days, get on a big board with a small sail, work on doing sail 360s, duck jibes, heli tacks, all of these kind of old school freestyle tricks. And they're really easy on a small sail on a big board on a light wind day, but it teaches you the dynamics and how it all works. And then that obviously transfers over when you're on a different sail. And even if you're not trying to do those same tricks, like you can get much farther ahead on that setup and learning much more advanced tricks. But then maybe it just, you're doing maybe sail 360s and whatever, but that helps you with the duck jibes or whatever it is on your normal setup. So great tip, Dana, when I was a kid. Thank you. I wonder if you remember. Let us know if you remember. I love having you in the chat. And Dana is also a legend of the Oregon coast windsurfing scene. And I would love to get back out there. It's been years since I've sailed on the Oregon coast, and it's a lot of fun. Mert is saying to check out the Freeletics app. It's a paid app with workouts and stuff. Sounds cool. All right, so Sel, let us know how it goes. And all right. It sounds like we've got 2 fitness questions in a row. That's cool, Jorg. So Jorg is saying, what do you all do to be able to sail, for example, for a week? Any tips? I regularly do several sports with cycling, yoga, running, gym, surfing, supping, and so forth. But I'm still very rarely able to sail more than 3 hours. And when I do, I'm flat dead the next day. Like today, after 2 hours or 2.5 hours of good wave sailing. This is a good question. And it's something that I think is really important to talk about, because there are most windsurfers, let's face it, most windsurfers can't get on the water every week, right? So you're off the water maybe for months at a time, and then maybe you go on a trip and you've got wind for a week straight and you want to take advantage of that, but then you go out on the first day and you get destroyed because you sailed 3 hours or 4 hours or 2 hours or whatever it is, and then you can't really get on the water as much the next days. I mean, the number one thing that goes is actually not your actual fitness, it's your hands. So if your hands are what's bothering you, one thing I recommend doing is you can get these like intense moisturizing creams. John, I don't know if John is in the chat somewhere. John, the doctor from Denmark, had some advice, but like they make some for climbing, some different climbing moisturizers, so like heavy duty climbing, or like bag balm is one. It's made for like cow udders, like when you milk a cow. Yeah, it's funny, right? But I guess that there's a lot of chafing on the cow udders, and anyway, you put that on your hands, and if you do that every day, multiple times a day for like a month or something, it toughens up the skin and it makes it stronger for when you do go on that trip and get in the water or whatever else. But in terms of fitness, because that's not really fitness. I mean, it's very important if you have time off, but It's not necessarily fitness. So Caro is saying running for cardio, CrossFit for strength, and high intensity stuff. And the one point that she's making that I think is super important is to break it down into categories. And so there are different categories of fitness that are going to be more important for some people versus others, depending on your body type and your basic physiology and your strengths, right? So cardio, I think, is important for most people. Like, it's hard on your heart and lungs um, to be windsurfing, especially if it's windy. So you want to make sure that you're doing enough cardio, and that can be difficult to get in. Some people don't have a problem with it. You know, some people have a routine of running or whatever else. I hate running. I hate running. Caro is an expert runner. I mean, she tells me how long she runs, and I'm just like Cara, how like what's the distance that you're running? Like how many kilometers? Like it's insane. Like I can't even fathom. I hate running. But what I do and what I force myself to do is I bike my son to kindergarten in the morning. And it's like 45 minutes if I book it. So I'm doing like I'm sweating pretty hard, I'm breathing hard, 45 minutes. I go pretty fast. I've got him on the bike, so a little bit of extra weight. I've got like a city bike and meaning not like a leisure bike. It's like I'm like in more of like an athletic stance. But like so I really book it. And you know, I hate doing that. I wake up in the morning and I want to drive him with the car. I want to take the car. But I force myself to make this routine where I take him with the bike, and that gives me at least 45 minutes of cardio every um every day. And that's not a lot, it's not a ton, but it's not nothing. And if you work that into your routine, if cardio is hard for you, and like not all cardio is created equal. Like for example, I don't do well running. I just don't like running. But cycling, I can really push myself. Like there was a period where I was doing like, I don't know, 3-4 hour cycles, and and that was great, and I loved it, and I can push myself cycling. I can really push myself. There was a time where I was rowing, and that was also great training. I went maybe a little bit too hard with that, and now I kind of have some like post-traumatic stress with the rowing. I was competing at a very high level in the United States. I wasn't. I was just good enough to like stay on the team. We're racing eights, but the rowing was really good training that as well for me. Again, that's something I could like push myself on more than running. So anyway, the point is some kind of cardio is important because windsurfing is tiring. Um, and so if you don't have that fitness, you're going to get exhausted, right? Um, so like working on that cardio is important. The second thing is working on your technique is important. So if you have good technique where you're using your harness, and so you want to make sure your harness lines are not too long and not too short, uh, and just the right amount. So you're using your body weight rather than your muscles. It also uses a lot less energy when you're on the water. So okay, so we're talking about the category of cardio. So the thing that Carl brought up, which I love, is that these different categories of fitness, right? And so the in the cardio category, we've got okay, doing some kind of cardio. And the thing with cardio is you have to do it regularly. Strength training is a bit different, but with cardio, you know, if you're not doing it regularly, you don't really see the benefits. You've got to keep it up, and so do something. And if running doesn't work for you, do something else. Do cycling, whatever, and force it into the routine. And then also within the cardio category is make sure your technique is good. So get your harness lines right. Make sure that you're using your body weight. You're not like using your muscles, and that will then use less energy, and you'll be able to go on the water longer. And okay, so Facebook user saying sup training is good. I don't have a lot of experience with sup racing, but again, like just getting that regular exercise, and if it's something you like to do and enjoy doing, yes, go do it. Eric is saying climbing is good for your core and the upper body, not as boring as working out in the gym. Again, right on. I don't have a lot of experience with climbing. I also don't mind gyms. I've spent a lot of time in the gyms. I've recently gotten back into going to the gym. There was a time, especially when I was rowing, when I was competing in the rowing, I would spend a lot of time in the gym, in addition to the rowing, and then for a few years after that, and working with trainers. And then there was a period where I wasn't doing much gym stuff, and then there was a period where I was doing some CrossFit stuff. And hey, Philip. Philip is one of the rippers from Denmark. He's so good, Philip. I can't praise you enough. But like, in fact, I shouldn't admit this. This is like a little bit of but like, I love watching your turn so much. Sometimes I get a bit intimidated with like the coaching, because I'm like, oh God, what am I going to teach him? But I like the challenge too, because then it makes me like come up with, like we came up with all these exercises, like, of course there's all the jumping stuff, but I mean for the wave running, like for these one-handed things, and which I think is really good for your windsurfing. But anyway, welcome, Philip. So the yeah, the gym stuff anyway. So I've been getting back into that more, and so I'm liking the gym at the moment. But anyway, so you've got your cardio category, and then you've got your strength category. And I think you should be looking at, especially as you get older, sort of a total body fitness, and making sure that you are just, it's important for injury prevention. It's important for a lot of things, that you have the strength muscles, in your shoulders, in your core, in your glutes. Cedric is the man. So Cedric, welcome to the stream. So Cedric has a lot of experience with athletics, and so great timing. So the question that we're talking about is from Jorg, and it's, what do you all do to be able to sail, for example, for a week? Any tips? I regularly do all these sports, but when he goes on a trip and he has like a lot of wind in a row, his body gets really tired and he's flat dead the next day. And so we just talked about the importance of cardio training, and now we're getting into like other categories of fitness. And the strength category is, I think, really important. And I think that there's strength to help you with your direct question, York, but there's also strength for injury prevention. And for that, you want to make sure that you're hitting some key muscles, like in your shoulders, in your core, in your glute. Now, for actual windsurfing performance, I think is, and I'm going to there's one muscle group that I think is the most important for fatigue, but one of the most important muscles for performance is your glutes, and making sure that you have active and strong glutes, because that's the connection from your upper body to your lower body, and helps you transfer power from your core down to your toes to the board. Very important. Your glutes, your butt, super, super important. I think working the legs is really important. Windsurfing doesn't really work the legs very much, but the legs are very important. So most of the training that I do in the gym, and it's a little bit different because I'm getting on the water a lot, sometimes not when I'm in Germany, but I'm getting on the water a lot. So I don't need to train the windsurfing muscles as much, but I do need to train the muscles that then windsurfing doesn't work, but then are important for windsurfing. The leg muscles are important. So doing lunges, doing squats, doing explosive exercises like cleans, or like these kind of like explosive Olympic things, or box jumps or something else, I think are also really good. And then anyway, what I want to get to is, I think for staying on the water longer, it seems like the most important muscle is actually your forearm. And because it's something that isn't trained in other training programs normally, you can do all these things like you're going cycling, you're doing yoga, you're going running, you're going to the blah, 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 but you're still getting tired. And if I had to guess, it's because of your forearms and working on that grip strength. And so one thing you can do is just hanging from a bar, the one I really like is hanging, doing towel hangs. So you put a towel over the bar and you just hang from it. You can hang for like a minute. You can do pull-ups like that too, which is also good. You want to work on that grip strength, because often, you can be doing all these exercises, but if you're not working on the grip strength, and windsurfing really requires a lot of grip, a lot of that like forearm, then that muscle gets shot after your first day. and then you don't have energy. And it doesn't matter how much you've trained the rest of your body. If that thing goes, you're going to have a hard time windsurfing. So I think that's kind of the most important. Pull-ups, like Jeff is saying pull-ups. Jeff Albright is saying pull-ups. Pull-ups are really important because they work your back, they work that grip strength, they work your core. It's kind of a similar motion to like with windsurfing. Let's go to the comments a bit. So Facebook user saying he trains like he's windsurfing. That's interesting. Maybe makes it more interesting also. So Cedric says cardio and strength are very important, but what most people neglect, especially as they get older, is well-programmed power development. So what does that mean? What does power development mean, Cedric? Let us know. Facebook user had a good lion session in St. Peter-Ording. Nice. Yeah, I really like the new lion, the new cheetah. I had some fun free riding on Maui this last year on the new sails. Cedric's saying training is a very broad discussion area with a lot of variables that need to be considered so someone can progress safely and efficiently. No such thing as a magic exercise or routine. Yeah, that I think is really important. But in terms of like, if you are going to do like one thing that you're probably not doing, or so it is kind of like a magic thing, and that's, I mean, it's not magic obviously, but is that forearm, getting that grip strength. Grip strength is so important for windsurfing, and doing those hangs is the closest thing I've found to being able to train that grip strength. And so like you could like hang for a minute and do like a set of 5 or something, or 6, so 6 of those minutes in a row, and work on that grip strength. And it's that like static grip strength, right? So where you're hanging, it's not like this like pumping grip strength. So climbing, I guess, is also good training for that. But yeah, the forearms, the grip strength is a huge one that I see people neglect, and then that's what kills them. Otherwise, working on your back, like doing rows, and doing rows with like a lot of like high repetitions, I think is also probably translates as well to windsurfing. Like into actual rowing, like either on the water or on a erg, like a rowing machine, is also really yeah, it's good training. Like when I was rowing, when I was rowing, yeah, I could come back into windsurfing and I didn't feel any problems. So rowing is good training. Ragnar is saying that the narrow booms are fantastic for your forearms. That is a good point. Yeah, narrow booms put less fatigue on your forearm for most people. Not everyone is the same, but yeah, I definitely agree with that. Cedric is saying that power is the rate of speed at which you express force. So dynamic exercises like sprinting, jumping, and fast lifts can be used to develop this physical quality. One thing, so Cedric, super interesting. One thing I've been doing my own training is, I don't even know what you call it. It's like on the like pull-up bar. So like in the gym, one of the sections, there's like kind of like a bars that like kind of go in like an arch. So you have like a bar, the next one's higher, the next one's higher, and kind of like in an arch. And also like jump using my arms, like from bar to bar to bar, like up the arch and then down again. And then same, there's with some like they're side to side, and I'll like jump like that. And I'm trying to like get more explosive in my lats and those muscles. I don't know if that's an example of what you're talking about, but I guess like some of the like box jumps or like some of these like explosive Olympic lifts are also like a is it what, like a clean and snatch, or like, I'm not so good with all the names, but yeah, so those exercises also are good. So we've had a lot of discussion, Jorg. I hope that helps you. Let us know what you work on. I think this discussion, the more input we get, the better. Thank you everyone for chiming in. Cedric, Ola saying kettlebells are good. Definitely. So what other people are saying, Sarah Hauser has this fitness program. T. George is saying pull-ups and erg, so the rowing machine, like I said. Windsurf, yeah, these are great suggestions. And then the forearms, don't forget your forearms. So don't forget your forearms, like for that grip strength, because that is actually what I see fail for most people. So just hanging from that bar or hanging from the towel or a thick rope, yeah, that gets your, like windsurfing, like I don't know if I can see, like, right, I've spent my life windsurfing, right? So my body is very shaped by windsurfing, and you can, like, I don't know if you can see, like my forearms are like, I don't know how I get it in the camera. I don't know if you can see that, but they're massive because it's such a big part of windsurfing. And just hanging can do that as well. Eric just posted a link to a YouTube video, which sounds cool, about basic power training and climbing. Right on. All right. Diederik is saying there's an excellent, easy tool you can make yourself. Is that in the video or is that something else? All right. The towel hang pull-ups are super easy, and they work. I like them. Someone, Facebook user saying CrossFit. I think CrossFit can be good, cannot be good. I think it really depends on your CrossFit location. And like the thing with CrossFit is you want to make sure that you're keeping your form good, and you want to make sure that you're not loading too much weight in whatever you're doing. And hopefully, if you have good trainers there, they'll make sure that that's what you're doing. But CrossFit's got so big so quick. I think that that's not always the case. So you just have to be careful with that, because you don't want to injure yourself. Luke, hello everyone. I'm in the market for new harness lines and have never really thought too much about the length of them. I've always just grabbed a pair out of my family's stash when I needed some. I've seen a bunch of interesting videos and threads talking about harness line lengths, but I'm curious to hear the group opinions. I'm quite tall, 6'5", and sail wave and freestyle conditions. I'm thinking either 28 or 30. Let me know. So welcome, Luke. Let's yeah, welcome, Luke Brown. Great advice here. You generally want your harness lines to be about as long as your forearm. So you basically want your harness lines to be from like here, where am I here? Like here to here. That's like a rough guideline of where to start for your harness lines. Some people use longer lines, some people use shorter ones. But yeah, generally that's like a good guideline of where to start. So it's like from like here, that's the bottom of your elbow, up to like there, like the top of your palm. So if you measure that, but remember, that's not the length of the lines, because then the lines go on the boom. That's the length that you want. You want to be able to put your arm in the line and touch the boom. So maybe double that length, or even a little bit more. So that's anyway a good starting point. But it seems like you've got some good advice, Luke. So Diedrich is saying you can take a 50 centimeter wooden block, 5 centimeter cross, attach a rope of 2 or 3 meter and a 5 kilogram weight, and then roll it up over the stairs. You can do front roll and back roll. Yeah, so that's like forearm, like this, right? To work your forearms. If I understand that right. Sounds good. All right. Philip was just cleaning up my closet and found these 2 old windsurfing mags with one-handed turns on the cover, 2012 and 2015. One is Kaileni and one is me. Yeah, cool. So this is with the rear hand off, which is a really good exercise. If you've never tried to do a cutback with your rear hand off, try it. It teaches you a lot about sail dynamics, board dynamics, speed, everything. It's really important. This is such a good exercise, because then you can't rely on the sail to help you get where you want to go, right? You have to use your board and your body. Front hand off also is a really good exercise. A little bit different because you can use the sail to help you, but both good exercises, both look cool. I like doing both. And then Rory here showing us the no-handed cutback. Nice. Okay, so Don Tavius is saying he was fascinated by last week's discussion about adjusting the downhaul while on the water. How does one do it without the board drifting away or the sail sinking? I imagine you would have to jump in the water to detach the sail while swimming alongside the board and get back on the board, straddling it and the sail detached, and then change the downhaul. Then jump back in the water to reattach the board and the sail. Okay, so for the first thing I want to say, the first thing I want to say is normally when I adjust the downhole in the water, which I do, but I would suggest most people to go to the beach to do it because why do it in the water? But I do adjust it sometimes in the water, but I'm not taking it off the board. I leave the sail attached to the board with the extension. I undo the pad that's around the extension, flip it up, and then I undo. Then I put my rope just in the pocket, like the Ezzy sails. They've got a little pocket to put the rope. So I'd normally wrap the rope once around the extension and then put it in the pocket. And so I just pull it out of the pocket. And then if I want to downhaul more, then I just pull, and otherwise I release the downhaul. And I'm just kind of like the sail is still on the board. I'm not detaching the sail from the board. Just release it a little bit. And I've got the Ezzy sails. I'll have a gauge so you can kind of see for the rigging of the downhaul kind of roughly where it is. And and then I cleat it off and put the rope in the little pocket and close the thing. So I'm not taking the sail off the board. Sometimes I will, and there is a skill like, sometimes I'll adjust my mast base in the water, but this I would say is a pretty advanced skill. And like I'm a pro, adjust my base in the water. I know how to do it. I know how to take the sail off, but I think for most people, you should go into the beach to do that. I think you're opening up too many dangerous possibilities if you're trying to adjust your base on the water and take the sail off and all that stuff. So I would always leave the sail on. Adjusting the downhaul is something else. Like also it's kind of difficult. I mean, it's not difficult, but if you're not used to it, it can be. I recommend going into the beach. But the main point I want to make is that I'm not taking the sail off the board. Like 90 sessions out of 100, I'm not taking the sail off the board. 99 sessions out of 100. And when I do, it's something that I do because I'm a pro and I'm very careful with it. And it's not something that I want to promote. Like there's too many things that can go wrong where maybe you lose the sail or you lose the board or whatever. Let's just go to the beach. If you want to take the sail off the board, go to the beach. But it is something that I do. And then you want to make sure that the board, like the trick is because you can't take the extension off with the board flat, right? With the sail. So you've got to get the board up on its side and then you like pull it off. And then normally what I do is I put like my feet or something kind of around the board as I'm playing with the sail, or hold the sail with my feet as I'm like trying to unscrew the base and moving it on the board. Or sometimes we'll do, like in the water with other pros who like switch sails or switch boards and do it that way. But I really recommend for everyone, unless you're a pro, I really recommend going into the beach to change. If you like, don't take the sail off the board in the water. That opens up too many dangerous possibilities. But adjusting the downhaul, if that's something you feel comfortable doing, try it. But don't take the sail off the board. So yeah, or maybe I'm misunderstanding the question, but anyway, I wouldn't take the, anyway, here's a little video from my session up in Denmark. A lot of guys requested that I show like more clips and do like maybe some self-coaching or talking about it. And I will do that. I think that's something that I'll definitely post some of it in the group. I think the whole thing, which will probably end up being pretty long, is something that's good for the Patreon. And I'll put that in that all levels have access to it. It's not something just reserved for the newsletter or for the Accelerator Club. But I'll talk about some of this now. So this is a little back loop. Yeah, same thing we always talk about is spotting the landing, right? Like even all the way up here at the top of the jump, I'm looking where I'm gonna land, right? My head is turned, I'm looking where I'm gonna land. Hey, Steen. Um, and then as I'm coming down, there's this moment, right, that's happening here as I'm pushing the sail forward. It's kind of hard to see with this angle, but that's something that we talk about a lot in back loop. Pushing sail forward, landing on the nose. Very important to do. Here's a little backside. What's interesting is I'm not very happy with these backsides, and in general, I'm not happy with the backside riding. And there's a few things that I wasn't happy with my riding this day. That then the next day, because I watched this footage in the evening and I realized what I was doing wrong, and the next day, then I fixed those things. I had like such better backside rides the next day, and such like some of the front sides were so much better the next day because I made just a couple tiny changes that came from watching the footage. So one of the things is with backsides, the trick, and I know this, but I wasn't doing it. And this is like just so important to remember is like you have to refresh yourself. Refresh. Like even it doesn't matter who it is, you can sometimes forget some of these key things if you haven't sailed in a certain condition for a while. And so the trick with these backsides is you really have to put your weight, like if you guys can see where my mouse is, like over here, or maybe even over here. You're really leaning your weight this way. You're not leaning your weight into the turn. And so I'm leaning too much into the direction I'm going when really I should be leaning like over here. Um, and it's fine. Like these turns are fine. But like this one would be a little bit more dynamic. Like I don't know if you can tell, like I'm leaning a little bit too much more towards the nose. I should be leaning more here, and then I would fly out of this turn a bit better. Like this is kind of a heavy section, so I like that. I like hitting these sections backside. Next turn, I like that. I like keeping my speed, accelerating out of this little section. I wish, I don't think I do, but I wish I'd hit this next whitewater. If I just carried on into another turn. So that's what I wish I did watching that. Um, Looking at this, like I'm happy, like I like the timing. Um, I don't know why my legs go so straight. Like that's, I wish I'd stayed more compact with my legs. I mean, I'm happy with this. I'm not like unhappy. But that's what my own coaching for myself when I see it. I like these kind of turns, these like just slashy carves. These are super fun to do. They feel so good. Just getting the rail engaged. I love that feeling. This feeling is so good. It's one of the best feelings in riding a wave. I like this turn. This is probably my favorite turn of this video. Just connecting with this section and just kind of flying through that turn. It's a little bit wild. There's a lot of wind. The water is a bit wild, but yeah, I like that. This is my favorite turn from this section. And then yeah, coming up, going for another turn. This turn, this is interesting. I'm holding the sail too much rather than hanging from the sail. So one of the things I always talk about in the cutbacks, you want to hang from the sail rather than like pulling the sail. You can see here, like I am hanging, but here I'm pulling on the sail a bit too much. And see how it pulls me upright and pulls me off the rail. And so the sail pulls me up and off the rail, and it's fine. It's just at the end of the turn. But I would have liked to actually hang from the boom a little bit more and carry that carve, complete the turn a bit more. This turn, yeah, I'm happy with that. One thing I wish I did, I talk about bringing that sail across the body and getting that S with your front arm. I wish I'd done more of that here. And that's something that I recognized in this footage. I was doing more the next day. And it's amazing how much big of a difference it makes. I kind of land on this whitewater. I didn't put this in the video, but then I carry it down. Turns like this also feel good, like just kind of slashing it and kind of falling back and then coming around. That feels good. There's a little one hand back loop. I wish I'd kept my hand off a little bit longer. But yeah, it's fine. All right, let's check the chat. So Ragnar's asking why drop the rear arm. I assume he means in the one-handed cutbacks. So I would say it just looks cool, but also it can allow you to really engage the rail of the board, especially because you don't have the sail. Like I just talked about with the sails, then pulling you upright. You don't have that because you're not pulling on the back of the sail. And also as an exercise, it really teaches you about using your body and the board rather than using the sail to help you steer in the cutbacks. So yeah. All right. Is that it? Did we get to the end of the new content? I think so. I think so. So let me just say that here's the Patreon if that's something that you're interested in. If you want to support the anyway, click on this link. It'll take you to a different page. That took me to the like creator page. And so there's an option there just to support the stream. There's an option to sign up for the newsletter, which I'm working on the first one. I really want this to be amazing. I want every month you get this thing and it gives you new ideas and helps you with your windsurf training, helps you with life, helps you think about it's something I'm excited about. I don't know. Newsletter is the word that's used for this stuff. You can think of it more like a magazine, almost like kind of a small personalized magazine that I'm putting out. And every tier includes all the other tiers, right? So if you do the newsletter tier, that also includes the support for the community. And then if you choose the Accelerator Club, that also includes the newsletter and everything else, right? The Accelerator Club also, I think, has a huge amount of value. So if that's something for you, if you really want to accelerate your windsurfing. Oh, Moritz, Mauk. Thank you, Moritz. Moritz tuned in. Moritz is an amazing windsurfer. Actually, it's funny. It's funny that he commented on this because I was going to make a little video about my kind of what am I trying to say? My point of view about Pozo and stuff. And I think Moritz and Philip Coster are for me the most exciting windsurfers in Pozo, the ones that I like to watch the most and the most spontaneous and the most innovative. I love watching Moritz. I love watching Philip. Philip is insane. But so is Moritz. Like Philip gets the recognition and Moritz doesn't. And yeah, anyway, so I was going to do a little video about Moritz anyway. So nice to see you're tuning in. Moritz is an amazing windsurfer. Thank you. And thank you all of you guys for showing up. Dom is asking about the chat community that goes with the level 2 Patreon. So there should be a very established chat community within Patreon. We're just starting it. So this is, kind of new water. So we'll see how it is, but there should be a chat community within that thing. There's an app. There's the site itself. And there's, I'm going to be posting questions because I really like this two-way thing, right? And it's like the idea with the Patreon is, yes, it supports this thing, but it's also the opportunity to give something else. And I think the newsletter allows me to go a bit more in depth on things because I can write about them, I can show pictures, I can show videos. Like it's just a different format. So I'm going to keep doing all this live stream stuff. It's all going to stay free. The Facebook group, all that stuff is staying there. This is something in addition, which will have, I think also it'll be a lot of ideas that are inspired by the conversations that are happening in the Facebook groups. That it's a place that allows me to go a bit deeper, have it written, have it organized more. And there should be a good chat function within that Patreon. Again, we're just learning, with this coaching, right? We started on Instagram, we went to Facebook, now we're on YouTube and Facebook. And we, I switched from some different live streaming softwares, and it's the same thing. Like I want to get this coaching out to you guys, and this is a different format of doing it. If Patreon isn't the right platform for us, we'll move to a different platform, right? But this is where it's starting. This seems like a good setup, and yeah. So let's see how it works. For the third, like the top tier also includes a WhatsApp group that I'm in, as well as like a monthly Zoom. So that there's a lot of chat community in terms of like in the group, and it's quite tight. Yeah, I think that has a lot of value. Like for someone that wants to really like accelerate their windsurfing, and they have, you don't have to do it for a whole year. If you have like 6 months or whatever it is, I think that's like a pretty amazing option. Anyway, that's enough about that. You guys get to bed if it's nighttime, or attack your day if it's your morning. And I will see you next week. I'm gonna keep reading everything you post. So post in the Facebook group. If you're in the master classes, the pre-course content will come out probably tomorrow morning. I'm gonna finish everything tonight, so probably get the email tomorrow morning. And then for the newsletter, the first one, I'm working on that as well. So that will come out also later this month. We're going to do one a month. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye. I hope it's windy. Have a good week, and I'll see you next week, Sunday. Take care.